Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're kicking off the weathering on the Panzer IV F, and fair warning, this is my longest video yet, so be prepared for some off-the-wall rambling, maybe a few mistakes, and plenty of modeling fun. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride. One of the first things I did off camera was hit the model with the satin varnish to prep for the pin wash you see here. I'm using a dark brown wash to bring out all those little details. It's a pretty simple step, and the varnish really helps the wash flow into all the nooks and crannies. And speaking of crannies, what exactly is a cranny anyway? Well, whatever it is, I'm filling it. Now, the nice thing about a pin wash is how it really makes the details pop. Those panel lines, bolts, and edges suddenly have depth, and that's where the Panzer starts to look less like a toy and more like a battlefield-worn tank. You do want to be neat with the wash, but it's totally fine if you're not, because in the next segment, we're going to clean up the mess. I've actually come up with a quick and easy way to tie it all together using makeup sponges. So I went out on a hunt to gather some, and believe it or not, Walmart doesn't even carry the type I wanted anymore. Luckily, I did manage to track them down, and here they are. Oh, that's the Hawkin, sorry. I used to spend hours making my brush dance around just to clean up the excess wash. But these sponges knock it out in seconds. They do get dirty pretty fast, but I found a nice pack of them for just $3.99 at my local Food Line. Funny thing, it used to be called Food Town, and I actually worked there once upon a time ago, but let's not ramble just yet. But honestly, you get the idea. How exciting is it just to watch me dab away with a sponge? Speaking of dabbing, you can dab a dauber. Okay, we'll get into that one later. So instead, let's set the theme for today's ramble, shall we? So, building a model can be fun, but let's be honest. It's got some boring steps. You know, the kind where you're painting road wheels for the 10th time and wondering why you didn't just buy a model of a hover tank. A hover tank? With no wheels at all. What do I do during those repetitive steps? I usually throw on some old war movies, great stuff when I was younger, but now I can't help noticing when they swapped out German tanks with Pantons. Totally ruins the magic, but hey, that actually gives me an idea. Why not build a Panton and finish it like in the movies? Paint it yellow, slap on a German cross, decal, and skip the weathering. Boom, Hollywood accuracy right there. Now, I do actually have a Tamiya M48A3 Panton sitting in the stash, as small as it is. Not quite the same beast they used in the movie Panton, but close enough for some Hollywood magic. Funny enough, I grabbed that kit for next to nothing at a thrift store. Wasn't too excited that it was an M48, but hey, now I have a use for it. So, I'll need to upgrade with some brutal model tracks, because those rubber ones, yeah, they just don't cut it for me. So here's the question. Do you want to see me tackle that build down the line? Drop a comment below and let me know. I recently stumbled across a hobby store that I hadn't visited before, and I got to chatting with some of the folks there, and they've got some model contests coming up, but I'll have the details on that on another video. Long story short, I showed them some pictures of my builds, told them about my channel, there's mistake number one, and before I left, one person jokingly said, "You're good, now I won't win." Well, here's the thing, and let me see if I can explain this good enough for you to understand. Now, I've always had a hard time accepting that I'm good, but I'm sorry, mistake number two, we have to carry on. But here's what I really want to explain. Most of the stuff you do on a model is actually pretty easy. Using a makeup sponge to clean up a model is easy. The Leather Dye Dauber, always gonna sell that, also easy. and it gives you the chance to create some seriously realistic chipping. Now, chipping itself can be tricky. It was tricky for me, but with the right tools, a bit of patience, you can make a model look amazing. The point I'm making is that my builds are really just a collection of techniques I've learned over the years from others, who learned from others before them. That's the modeling community I'm trying to create here, a place to show you these methods and help you learn. Not exactly from me all the time, but learning along the way. You also need the right tools for the job. Dishes are clanking. Don't be a Charlie cheapo. I'm guilty of that myself. But once you invest in some proper modeling tools and supplies, you'll start to see a real upgrade in your work. I do a lot of oil work, as you noticed, and I used to rely on the cheap stuff. Eventually, I decided to go all out and get some Optial Long oils. And wow, total game changer. That said, you do not need to break the bank. Winsor & Newton oils are great and fairly affordable. Their color range from about $5 to $20, and I usually stick with the basics at $5. See, I'm still a Charlie cheapo at heart. Lately, I've been skipping those $80 kits and sinking the money into supplies instead. And you all know how much I love my ammo by MiG. So I grabbed quite a bit of it, and with my new hobby store find, getting my Tamiya paint fix is a breeze. Although, of course, they were out of green stuff putty, looks like I'll be waiting a whole day for Amazon to deliver. So, this was supposed to be a zombie tank, but I totally forgot to wait that whole day and never ordered my green stuff. Yep, I completely forgot to add it. Now, I'm not really sure what to do. One of my subscribers even mentioned that zombies are outdated, and they probably are. Originally, this was meant to be a ghost tank. Anyway, but that idea didn't sit well with my German dispatch rider. So yeah, not entirely sure where we'll go from here. But in any rate, this will be a nicely painted tank with some new techniques you may like to try. So, not all my ideas are exactly sound, but the jelly beans keep telling me they're brilliant. So, is this a fail? Well, we'll see in the end. But not in this video. Don't worry though, you'll still see a finished model eventually. This saw brush works great for creating streaks. See, sometimes a simple tool really can make all the difference. Using this along with some other paints and tools, I managed to create a really nice effect. Am I good? Alright. I'll admit it, I'm good. But only because I had a little help from others along the way. My arch nemesis, link and length tracks. Spoiler alert, while fitting these tracks, a section popped off, and of course, the carpet gods have claimed it for themselves. Yeah, that didn't help when I squeezed the lower hull in frustration while trying to assemble them. That one little section just flew somewhere and still haven't found it anywhere. I searched everywhere. Every box, every nook and cranny, every corner where it could have landed. And it's completely, perhaps, sunk into the abyss of all my extra modeling bits. And I even searched through those and I can't find it. I'll have to contact Tamiya for some spare parts down the road. Oh, we are at the decals, or ducals. Is that what you call them over there in England? I think so. I like that word. And, of course, I forgot the decals again. What's going on with me? They're supposed to go on before weathering, but somehow I got away with it again. I'm finally going to order the green stuff, and that means it's officially a go for the zombie tank. The figures are being cleaned up, and I'll make a video eventually showing how I add the Nurgle details and the altered crew in full-on zombie mode. So here she is, and she's looking pretty good. You can even spot the missing track section. The carpet god's grasp is just too tight, and I still can't find it anywhere. Since this is going to be a worn, sun-faded tank crawling out of the desert, I want to give it that faded look. To do that, I'm using a combination of my usual cheap Charlie oils and some of the more expensive Eddie's oils, if you can get that. I'm taking a bit of white and some yellow ochre and applying it in sort of an oil dot fashion, not nearly as heavy as some of my earlier builds though. Oils are great for creating some really nice effects. You can add darker colors around certain parts of the tank and then feather them out with some odorless thinner to blend everything into the base paint. Don't like the effect? No problem. Just wipe it all away and start again. That's the beauty of using oils. Give them a try. Alright, incoming ramble session while you watch me work the oils to fade this tank. What should we talk about? Well, I recently picked up a Tamiya Panther A kit. You know, that cheap one from the 70s with basically no detail and rubber tracks. I'm thinking of turning it into a kind of conflict tank. You know, that game people play. Swap out the gun barrel for a laser, add some cool bits, maybe even turn it into a hover tank. Yeah, it's a fun idea, and it'll save me a ton of money by not needing rule model tracks. That's one of my problems. I get super excited about a new build and want to start it before finishing what I'm already working on, especially when tracks start flying everywhere. I'm getting better though. Maybe that Panther A will be November's project. But in October, while the Hawks are on vacation, I plan on knocking out my Tiger Restoration build. You can check that one out with the link up above. Oil paints are super forgiving and can add some really nice effects, from pin washes to oil dot filters. It's a technique worth learning if you want to add realistic details to your models. When should you use them? Well, definitely after the decals. I'm actually working on a step-by-step process showing what to do and when to apply these techniques. Because it'd be really good to know that and exactly when to do something so you kind of like don't screw something up. Still figuring it all out, but maybe I'll make a full video on it down the road. Click, 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 click. Alright. Less is definitely more, and I'll admit it, I still haven't earned my Master of Oils certificate yet. But I'm getting there, and the only way to earn it is to start practicing. I just heard a ding, and wow, I am starving. This longer video is wearing me out. Hamburgers and hot dogs, maybe even a meatball sub, but pizza places around here kinda suck. So, no meatball sub for me. Okay, enough about food. Time to let the Leather Dye Dauber work its magic. So, what exactly is the Leather Dye Dauber? Well, check out this video to see it in action and join the revolution. Now, a tank in the desert doesn't really rust all that much, so ignore all the rust and chipping later in this video. What I do want to focus on is adding some blue tones to the exhaust just to, mistake number 3 or 4, anyway, to show some heat effects. The dauber is made of wool, and once most of the paint is removed, it leaves these tiny realistic chips. As you can see, it works great on exhaust. You do have to rotate and twist the dauber to avoid repetitive marks, and the size can be a bit of a downfall. But don't worry, a quick touch-up with a sponge or brush easily fixes that little problem. Am I good at exhausts and chipping? Sure, but I have to admit, I learned this trick from someone else, and I really wish I'd known about it sooner. It's such a great tool. Chipping has always been a tricky technique for me. It's definitely not an easy way to earn that certificate. I still use brushes and sponges for touch-ups, but the Leather Dye Dauber has become my main workhorse for chipping. You can find these on Amazon in different quantities. I grabbed a pack of 100 for around $12. Honestly, you only need 1 or 2 per model, so that should last you a long time. I'm going in with different shades of blue to build up the heat effect. I've never really done a heat effect like this before, and it's looking pretty realistic, but I'll let you be the judge. Now I'm going in with some of the base color to tie everything together. Honestly, since I've got these daubers, my chipping has improved a ton. Maybe it's becoming a bit of a crutch and I'm not quite earning that certificate for chipping with a brush, but hey, I'm happy with how it's looking so far. Okay, I felt the tank needed a bit more fading, so let's chat while you watch me work through the next few minutes. Let's talk about the channel and where it's headed. For now, I've been focusing on touching up on all my techniques with some armor builds. But the niche I really want for the channel is Reimagined builds. After all, that's the name of the channel, Reimagined models. That's where I take a tank and turn it into something you just don't usually see on YouTube. I've been dabbling with the concept in this zombie tank build, and I've also got the Tiger Restoration and now that Panther Konflict tank in the pipeline. These builds take time, so for now it's mainly one big project at a time with different videos each week and maybe a shorter video on Wednesdays every once in a while. So to really get that niche going, I'll need a few things. A 3D printer is at the top of the list. Then I can just print up whatever the jelly beans have approved. And of course, I'll need some fresh new ideas to keep things interesting. Once the channel reaches that destination, I think it's going to be a really special one to watch. I do have some really great ideas, but some of them require a bit of a cash flow, which for now I don't have, so I'm doing the best I can to grow the channel and reach that goal. I'm taking my time, focusing on quantity over quality. Wait, no. Scratch that, reverse that. Quality over quantity. I love that movie. And learning my filming techniques and voiceover along the way, which is kind of a niche in itself. If you go back to my earlier videos, it's mostly Hot Wheels, and my old channel name was Reimagined Hot Wheels. I'm slowly losing those viewers, I would imagine, and that's totally fine. I want the people here to enjoy the content I'm making, and if I'm no longer making what they like, I completely understand. Channels grow, channels fade, but for now, I'm here making the content I enjoy. You probably could get this fading done faster with some airbrushing, using lighter shades, but my compressor isn't behaving. It spits too much water at times. I'm waiting to get an Iwata Sprint Jet, but for now, I'll suffer for what I've got and spend hours carefully spraying each project. You actually have a lot more control when using oils, and I really enjoy working with them. The downside, they take longer to dry than an airbrush, but honestly, that extra time is worth it. It completely changes the look of a model compared to just a basic base color paint job. One thing to keep in mind once you start using oils, you generally can't go back in with thinners for other techniques, otherwise because you'll ruin your prior work. Do I always follow that rule? Nope, I'm lazy sometimes. But a good tip is to add a matte coat in between different techniques, especially if you're planning to use enamels and thinners later. You can really see how the oils have given the base color a nice sun-faded look, and the difference really pops once I add the turret, which hasn't been treated with the oils yet. It's like night and day. Alright, let's get the dauber into action. I'm just showing the turret here since I've already demonstrated chipping in plenty of my other videos. This tool is fantastic for edge work. I can't emphasize enough how great it is for the job. When you look at the dauber, you wouldn't think it's a chipping tool, but it really is amazing for it. It's a bit tricky to get into the crannies, there's that word again, but it's perfect for starting out and achieving that look you've always wanted for your models. Should I become a Leather Dye Dauber salesman? No, I'm not quitting my day job just yet, but I will say it's an extremely effective tool, so join the revolution today. You do have to be careful when dabbing with the dauber. because it's easy to knock parts off. Case in point, mistake number 5. I broke both sides of the hatch on the commander's cupola. Luckily, it was an easy fix, just glued them back on, so be aware of the force you are using. You can definitely get carried away with the tool, so be careful. Remember, this is a zombie tank, which means it's going to have some heavy weathering, and yes, some pus-filled pustules too. I'll cover more of that in a future video, so stay tuned and make sure to subscribe. So far, it's really starting to take shape, and all the effects have given this tank a worn, weathered look. I went to town with the dauber on the lower hull, and it came out fantastic. What is that noise? It's the Hawks. That exhaust looks amazing and pairs perfectly with the faded tank, but it still feels like it needs something else. What could that possibly be? Dishes clanking? Sorry, the Hawk's doing the dishes, and she knows I'm doing a voiceover. Yeah, I just love how that came out. It needs some dust, of course. I'm adding some dust effects using Obtulung oils called Dust, named appropriately. I'll just dab it on some of the edges and around various parts to give the tank that natural dust buildup. It's a really neat and effective technique to add some extra realism to your models. Now you can see how some of the fading is being lifted with the thinner. I'm being lazy here, don't be like me. Coat your model with a protective layer first. But honestly, for the most part, it still works out, and all that layering builds its own effect naturally. So lazy or not, it's totally up to you. So, what do you think about the channel niche I'm aiming for? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. In October, when the Hawks are away, the Tiger restoration build will begin, and that should be a fun one to watch. I also have that new idea, the Panther Konflict tank, which will need some creative input from you. So drop those ideas in the comments too. Looking at those missing tracks really bugs me. I still have no clue where they went. They were such a pain to get glued onto. Next time, and from now on, as much as I hate it, I think I'll glue the tracks unpainted and make the road wheels removable for painting. You know, have the tracks assembled with the road wheels glued on. Not my ideal way to paint road wheels, but definitely better than wrestling with them after everything's been painted. So, this is my longer video. What do you think so far? It was originally around 34 minutes, but I decided to trim it down a bit. Don't worry, you still get all the good stuff. I just cut out the parts where, things were too long, spent too much time on chipping, things like that. So, mistake number 6. I'm gonna see how these longer videos perform. If they start to perform poorly, then I'll probably go down to something like 15 minutes. That's generally a good amount of time for you to watch me build a model. I mean, what do you think? I know some of you asked for longer videos, but what is your true thoughts? Let me down below if you like the longer videos or if you like the shorter ones. I am really happy how this turned out. It looks really good. I still have a lot of things I have to do to it. I gotta order that green stuff and I gotta make the little pustules. So I should have done them before I paint it, but I can put them on and any overspray can be added in. Well, you'll see what's gonna happen with that. It should be fun. And the figures too, that should be a lot of fun to watch too. Alright, she is spinning on the turntable. That means we are nearly done. Oh, those tracks. I wish I could find those tracks. But anyway, I want to thank you all for watching. Thank you all for subscribing and supporting the channel. Alright, I will see you in the next video.